This is the Not Bitter, Just Better podcast.
The Everton our way.
Straight from the street end.
Howdy Blues, welcome to the Not Bitter, Just Better Everton podcast. Mr. Johnny 7 here as always. And it's been one of the longest days of my life. So, rundown of today's show, we'll go into why it's been a long day in a minute. The madness of last night's Merseyside derby, that's what we'll look at first. The last ever one at Goodison. Breaking down the Everton key news of the week. And a look ahead to Palace and what we can expect. So, why was it such a long day? Because after the shenanigans last night, soft lad here decided to go for a little wander around Goodison Park after being in the bar, probably the last one in the bar in Segura, and that went for a little wander. I just wanted to have some time there on my own. Don't know if I'm going to get another opportunity after the game like that. All the other games are going to be early kickoffs, and I imagine it's still going to be people around, isn't it? So whereas last night it was just me having "oh miss you" on the side of the stadium. Until about 2:30, and then I had work and working all day. So it's just dragged and dragged and dragged. But I'm here and I made it through. I had horrendous anxiety about waking up after being after midweek games, waking up for work the next day. Ooh, yeah, but we got through, and we got through the Merseyside derby. Some talking points. Well, there were a fair few, weren't there? So the team news came in, and Mikalenko managed to shake off his calf strain. So it's the only real change. He came back in for Young on the left-hand side. So he Pickford in goal. And then we had Branthwaite and Tarkowski and O'Brien. Then we had Lindstrom, Ndiaye, Garner, and Decore. And up top, Beto. And the shite. Who really cares? Out there, starting 11. They put the strong side out anyway, didn't they? So we had Salah in, Diaz, I can't remember who was the other fellow up front. Oh, Gakpo, and Trent didn't start. He was meant to be a complete doubt, but ended up being on the bench. And Konate and Van Dijk in the middle, and McAllister in the centre of the park. Gobshite. So yeah, we get up there. Paul was meant to make his return on Saturday. Obviously, as I said in the last show, we ended up giving our tickets up so that a lad and his kid could go instead. So the official return. So back to the match day routine of a cheese pie and a couple of scallops, and then making our way. Early this time, quite early. We normally get in after he has to do some tickets kind of stuff. So we normally get in about 10 past, but we were in there early. I walked up before the game to see the coach quarter to 6. But I missed it arriving. So it was still a really good atmosphere, but missed the main bit, which is bloody pain. So headed right back down the bar and soaked up the atmosphere there instead. And it was really, really good atmosphere. It was kind of bouncing. Everyone was quite quietly confident, I think, or not as nervous as I thought. It's a kind of balance between the two. Not as nervous as I thought people would be. Oh, before I forget, I've got Sky Sports News on the background. I'm going to skip ahead to a little bit of Everton news. I haven't put it in me rundown. We've been granted an interim safety licence to go ahead with the test event on Monday, which I'll be going to at Bramley. So that's good to know. Otherwise, the event would have been pulled, wouldn't it? So anyway, I'll do more news in a little bit after I've done the recap here. So. Yeah, good atmosphere, and we were a lot different, an absolute poles apart from the way we played on Saturday, and it didn't take us that long before we opened the scoring. Beto running onto a through ball, which is the way we have to play with them, and we ended up doing. And Branthwaite, great ball through, opens his body up again and slots it past Allison. And the Blues are 1-0 up. Beto putting one in down the park end. And yeah, place was bouncing. Moisey was going mad. And we couldn't believe it. Or could we? I don't know. This is where my balance is. It's like they weren't anything special, and we were going at them, and they didn't have an answer to Beto in when he went through there. Unfortunately, though, a bit of sloppy play by us. We did the hard bit with a little bit of defending, decent bit of control, but then I think it was Decore tried to play it out and it was intercepted. And then Salah put a great knock in, and one of the smallest fellas in the team, Mac Allister, um, ends up rising the highest and managed to glance a header into the just into the far corner. And it's a real shame because we have the three big lads in there, and none of them could get to it. So great ball by Salah. He didn't do much else other than that and the goal. He scored, but he doesn't need to, does he? That's it. So 1-1 that down the Gladys Street, and we were we were looking decent. That one little mess up where we tried to play it out, and as I say, the interception. Yeah, and the Blues go in to half time 1-1. So we ventured down for a half time pint and a pint, and the atmosphere down there was great as well. So um, it was a mixture of kind of joy and sadness, really, because it's obviously people's last ever night game, people's last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison, and it was a real celebration, really, and it was a fitting when I get to the end. It was a fitting end to it, really. Um, Unfortunately, we were putting a lot of effort in. Ended up making a couple of changes, but the shite, unfortunately, ended up taking a 2-1 lead when Salah, um, first touch. He's great at that, isn't he? Unfortunately, from quite a decent wide angle, bobbles around again a little bit, ends up to him, the back post, and doesn't even have to think about it, just slots it in. So 73rd minute, and then we had one chalked off due to an offside decision with Branthwaite, rightly so. And then the ball goes up in the 90th minute, 5 minutes remaining, and around the 94-minute mark, I think it was 94 and 45 seconds, something like that. Alcaraz and I think was it Brantwaite ends up clashing heads, so they have to have a little bit of treatment, and rather than being 10 seconds left, the ref saw fit to add on an additional couple of minutes, and Everton made the most of it, and how we made the most of it, really. So ball ends up over on the left hand side to Harrison, and Harrison tries to cross it in, but it deflects into the path of Mikalenko. And Mikalenko hooks it into the centre of the penalty area. I think it was Timmy who ended up getting the knock down to uh, what Tarkovsky was doing up there, coming in from the right, but right into his path, and he unleashed a thunderbolt volley into the top corner of Allison's net. And what a finish that was! Everton, of course, they make it difficult for us, don't they? And the ref decides to or the VAR decide they need to have a look. And obviously, everyone's thinking, "Nah, this can't be. This can't be." I don't know what would have happened uh, if that would have been disallowed. I think there would have been absolute murder because there already was murder, wasn't it? When well, it was more handbags really, but imagine if that wasn't. It's on again on Sky Sports News now. I can't. Every time I see it, I get a chill. Ooh. Yeah, limbs, limbs in the Gladys. It was all over the ground, limbs actually, and then Tarkovsky sliding off, celebrating near the corner flag, and gets mobbed by Everton players and fans alike. Um, there's a great video going doing the rounds where Slot has a little bit of he throws his hands up in disgust, and you just see Pickford sliding on his knees past him about 20 miles an hour. It's great, brilliant clip, and yeah, that squeaky bum time. We're waiting while VAR check. I don't know what they were checking for. I've seen a few things since where they're trying to say that there was a foul on Kanate. No, but that wasn't even investigated apparently. Um, Van Dijk was playing the Blues on side, so don't know. I don't think it was. I don't think did they end up showing it? I think everyone had just lost the plot by that point anyway. So, loud cheer when Tarkovsky put it in. Even louder cheer when the referee pointed to the centre circle to say that the goal was confirmed. Yeah, I think so. So Paul, mate, as I say, run Segura. We got the match with sat next to him. He's been missing with a bad back. He goes missing somewhere. I reckon he must have fell about 3 rows forward, and then he's done his back in again because he knocked someone else over and had to lift them up. So yeah, not big, not clever, celebrating goals, is it? Um, which I'll get into now. Yeah, so it finishes 2-all. 41 wins apiece, and it was probably a fair enough result, but they weren't that impressive, and we could have snatched all three really. What a turnaround that would be for Moyes. But he's got out of his 5 league games in charge, undefeated in 4, 1 draw, 3 wins, and obviously the Villa game in his first game in charge, and just what a massive turnaround. What was Dyche on? Dyche was what? Anyway, it's not even worth looking up what he's done. 10 points for Moisey already, and we've got to be looking upwards, haven't we? We thought, that they could have really ruined the party there last night, and they didn't. So that's great stuff. Uh, so Decore was getting a little bit of stick. Ugly scenes at the end. Decore getting a little bit of stick, so he chooses to go and celebrate by telling their crowd to shush, and then Curtis Jones decides that that is a terrible way to react and comes over and tries to have a kick off. And one of the first players over is Alcaraz. Been in for a week and a half, and he's already over. Uh, Getting involved. Love that. Both players ended up getting sent off. I think Decore's was for a second yellow. I think Jones's was actually as well. And that wasn't the only sending off because Slot and his assistant were also sent off. Slot was sent off for overly aggressive handshake on the referee. But he's just another entitled prick. I, I don't get what it is with their club. Their club. He seemed a likable enough fella before he joined them. I think Klopp was the same, likable enough, and then that entitlement and mentality just hits them, and it just turns nice fellas into just absolute rats. um, there was a mini pitch invasion. This has wound me up all day and last night. Everton saying that it was celebrating a draw and we're going mad. It's like we've won the league. Oh my god! That celebration in the 97th minute, 98th minute, with virtually the last kick of the game from your centre back who had a mare on Saturday with an amazing goal down the Gladys Street in the last ever game, night game at Goodison, last ever derby at Goodison. What do you want us to do? Sit on our hands like you do? Horrible, horrible rats. all day going on about it, and then going on about Decore. He should have more class going over and celebrating like that. Okay, Gerrard, who ran the entire length up the Bullens Road, cupping his ear like this. They're just absolute hypocrites. It just wound me up so much. Yeah, Slot. I think he's got what is it, possibly a three-match ban now, and his assistants as well. So good, horrible, horrible, horrible rats. Um, Overall reflection on the game. Moisey again got them playing in the Moyes way. I'd like to say on Saturday that was a bit of a throwback to the last fella, that one where we just didn't really know what to do with it. We were compact and disciplined, still aggressive, overly aggressive, according to that shower again. I can't get my head around this. We thought that ref was shocking. They think that ref was shocking for siding with us. It just beggars belief. It really does. We're used to it, obviously. Michael Oliver. I mean, we don't have a good history with refing anyway, do we? But I can't believe. I don't know where their shouts are coming from. Just yeah, deluded. Um, yeah. Beto's role, nuisance all game. He bullied Kanate, and Paul said it next to me. He looked like he didn't want to be there at all, and he did show. He could lead the line in that way. He won a lot of duels and stuff as well, and he looked like he was proper up for it. And there was that the story that Beto grew up in Portugal as an Everton fan, and you could see it there. Um, Alcaraz coming in for his league debut as well, looked decent as well. I think by that point, I think the body had hit me a little bit, so the body to John Smiths and then a pint of doom and at half time. So it was just I think we were just like that, just willing it in. The shape was pretty good, but those defensive blunders again, we just need to stamp them out. The overall defending was a lot better, but yeah, those daft mistakes and the bundling around all over the show, we should be clearing them, clearing our lines, and unfortunately we didn't. But you can't argue, top of the league, and Moyes undefeated in four, and yeah, good stuff. So, other stuff to talk about there. Okay, yeah. So Decore will be out for the Palace games. I'll talk about that in a sec. But there's a number of options, not loads, but there's gonna have to be a bit of a shuffle, isn't there? I didn't mention Ndiaye going off as well. Unfortunately, Ndiaye went off in the first half, and he went off in tears, which suggests that it's not a good one. It was a strange one really because he went down. We played the ball out, and then he looked after a bit of treatment. It looked like he was going to be able to carry on, but then he just dropped back straight back down again. And yeah, and what a player he's been for us in the last few games. So he's going to be a massive, massive miss. Um, yeah, it's a shame. There's no confirmation on what it is, what the injury is yet, but he's had to see a specialist, so it doesn't bode well really. Hopefully, it'll be on the like a strain kind of rather than a ligament, because that could end up being months out. So yeah, to put a little bit of a dampener on things. Yeah, it could be out for months. So it opens a couple of slots up there, doesn't it? Where we've got to make a few changes. Jones, little gobshite, yeah, going over trying to grab hold of Decore, when Trent was pictured down the other end celebrating with the same celebration, doing this to the Gladys Street for their goal. You can't make it up. They're just absolute hypocrites, ashamed of nothing. And then Van Dijk afterwards with another wind up. This is their cup final. Just horrible, classless, no decorum at all. And this is, I've had, put a lot of content on last night on TikTok and stuff like that, and a lot of red rats were all over it saying, better than who? Southampton. Come on, mate. This is, when we named this podcast and we named the Facebook page and all that kind of stuff, not bitter, just better. We know we're not, we know we're not the best team in the league, but our club are much better as a club, the way we handle things, than that shower of shite, and that's why we're better. You might be top of the league, but you've got absolutely zero class. So that's why it is. Not because we're better and we're top of the league, because obviously we aren't. There's a lot more about it though. And yeah, anyway, I'll get off my high horse on that now. So leave that there anyway. Yeah, really good to get back to the to the we stayed. A couple of others around us unfortunately left and missed that goal. Went back to the bar afterwards. Pat Van I was in again. Great. Better reason to have a little drinky with Pat this time than it was on Saturday. And yeah, that was a nice little catch up. So I will be back in a sec with some more Everton news of the week.
News.
Okay, so the Everton news so far this week. Started off talking a little bit. Obviously, I said about the safety certificate being awarded for the game on Monday. So that looks like it's all ready to go ahead, and I can't wait to get in there. There's a controversy around the derby, the VAR check. FA have failed to confirm whether what was checked, but Moyes has also came out and said that he wants transparency, and the debate now is whether the Premier League will release the audio like they have for other previous controversial games. So, um, other stuff that has happened, the Everton and Liverpool have issued a joint statement today condemning racist abuse aimed at Decore, who had a lot of racist abuse on social media, and uh, it doesn't look like that was what was happening in the ground. Um, there's no confirmation of that. The way when the things were going on, though, there was a bottle thrown. But the Merseyside police are going to be investigating the shouts on social media. So yeah, it should never happen. It should never cross into racism. So the statement from the club suggested that social media platforms should be doing more to track and ban offenders. But if people screenshot all this kind of stuff now, so is it worth losing your job over something like that? It's ridiculous. Um, and it's hate crime as well, isn't it? So you're getting sent down because you don't like a player's done this to you. He shouldn't he shouldn't have done it, but it's an absolutely massive game, and they have done far worse. Vardy does it all the time. Um, I mean, it's daft in it. What's his face? And he got booked last a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, for being a seagull. Uh, I don't know. Did he get any uh, racist abuse after? I don't know. It's nuts anyway. Um, Talking about the injuries, so obviously Ndiaye looks like he might be out for a little while. So the talk was, potentially Harrison coming in on the left now, his preferred position. He's done all right. His last couple of times he's come on, so it could be it could be time to give that a go. There's not a whole lot else you can do really, unless you put an Alcaraz wide. Um, I can't see the point in that though. It seem a daft one. Especially with the Korean out for the next game. But I'll talk about that in a sec as well. When I go into Crystal Palace preview. Could change formation. I think it's more likely to get Harrison to get a run of games though, isn't it? So, what's next? Oh yeah, so the Freakin group apparently looking into getting a former Everton player in line for a senior role. It talks about David Weir coming back to the club in a director of football role, and the job he does for Brighton's meant to be is he's highly sought after, and he had a long spell with us, and he's still got a great affiliation with Everton, and obviously Moyes would have a big say in that as well. So yeah, I mean the rumor here I've got was there's a suggestion that Tim Cahill has been mentioned as well, but he has been working in football development and business roles. So I mean, how great would that be to get Tim Cahill back involved with the club? Um, but these talks are still at a very early stage, so just been nothing confirmed. But Thelwell, obviously out of contract in the summer in his director of football role. Weir would come in and do. I don't think it'd be the same kind of job that he does, but it would be in that director of football role. But he seems to operate in a very different way. Other news: silly sausage Jamie Carragher has predicted Everton will struggle at Palace, citing a lack of firepower. Uh, Unbeaten in 8 against Palace, apparently. Already transformed the team's mentality and the goal scoring. So we got two at the weekend. Sorry, two last night. We didn't score at the weekend, obviously. We've gone 3-0 up in our previous two home games and beat Brighton away. Um, that doesn't seem like a lack of firepower, does it, Jamie? Right, just daft, innit? Beto in good goal scoring form before him, and Dai was in good goal scoring form as well. So, can we prove Cara wrong? I think we can. Not saying we will, because I don't do predictions, but it would be good to shove that one up in his face, wouldn't it? Any other Everton news? No, as I say, it's a little bit dry news-wise, although I've talked a little bit more this time. Um, it's with all the transfer stuff, so and the transfer window closing. But yeah, I will leave that there and come back with a look at the visit to Crystal Palace away on Saturday.
This is the Not Bitter, Just Better Everton podcast. If you haven't already, go and like us on Facebook, facebook.com/EFC Not Bitter, Just Better, or you can find us on Twitter @JustBetterEFC.
Okay, so looking ahead to the Crystal Palace game, first of all, just want to say you've got our social media links just there. So if you haven't already followed us or liked us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, please do. We put a lot of stuff out this week, and it's when we first started doing the Facebook page, that was around 10, it must be longer, 10, possibly 12 years ago. And I did a lot of like Photoshop content and that then, and sort of just going back through and trying to find some of it. I'm going to try and get some mugs and that done, with some of the pictures and edits and some of the not bitter, just better branding kind of stuff. And found some of them were shocking, so bad. But 10, 12 years ago, the way language and stuff has changed. It's a mad one, isn't it? And the way attitudes have changed, and some of them made me cringe a lot, unfortunately. So, uh, one of those. But this one made me chuckle. This is what I end up doing with me. So the Tarth night made me laugh a little bit too much. That one, and last week things can only get better. Dad humour, not even a dad. So anyway, on to the Palace game. So this was one that was changed to the Saturday night football game. So it's a 5:30 kickoff. Where's my notes gone? And yeah, Palace. We've had a decent run of form against them, as I mentioned before. They've had a good run of form themselves. They've got a pretty similar uh, record to us in the last few games. One of 4 of the last 6, but been inconsistent at home, separated by just 3 points. So a win down there would be immense. Uh, Unbeaten in the last 8 meetings. Everton's likely 11. Of course, Pickford's going to be in goal. Tarkowski, after a terrible weekend last weekend, he popped up last night, and all is forgiven. Branthwaite, of course, and then O'Brien and Mikalenko. Look to why would you change that? There's no need to change that, is there? Lindstrom wasn't as effective last night, but I imagine he's going to keep his place on the right. because obviously they're going to have to make the change within Dai. I imagine Harrison's going to come in over there, and then Decore. This is where it's a tricky one. So yeah, I imagine Garner Gay and James Garner will be in the middle still, but who would you bring in here? I think Alcaraz has looked fresher, but Timmy's been knocking at the door, fitness wise, hasn't he? And he looks he looks like he could do with stepping back up to it. So he can drive us forward with the ball a little bit more, might give us a little bit more physical presence, like, at least height wise. You know, he got the flick on last night to knock it down to Tarkovsky. So, but Alcaraz he's got a little bit more guile and the set pieces as well. So, yeah, I think he'll probably go with Alcaraz, um, just because he's not coming back to fitness from an injury. He's just a new sign, isn't he? So he should be full of beans. And then Beto up top. Again, we haven't really got any other options to change it there, have we? So um, yeah, so Decore out and Zai likely to be out. The other long-term kind of injuries, obviously Calvert-Lewin, Broja, Chimiti, Coleman, and Patterson is still a doubt. He could shake his injury and he could be back. I doubt he'll probably be on the bench though. Young could possibly come in. On the left, but that would be quite defensive, wouldn't it? So can't see that. Palace is likely 11. I don't see. I've taken this from. I don't even know where I've taken this from, but potentially Henderson, Richards, Lacroix, Gay, Munoz, Wharton, Lerma, Mitchell, Sarr, Mateta, and Easy. So Easy, Nketiah, and Sarr are doubts but could feature. So that's their likely 11. Field control here, it's going to be massive, isn't it? Because with Decore out, he hasn't had his best season, let's face it, with Everton, but uh, he's still our most advanced forward, midfielder, in that out of those central three. So whoever does come in there is going to have to step that up and just really, really be pushing on and getting in there and giving us an out option. Beto versus Palace's defence. So we've got a couple of decent defenders, haven't we, Palace? But he's proven to be a handful, isn't he? And he's from a few weeks ago when I thought he was more than likely on his way, as Moyes didn't fancy him. He's really turned it around, hasn't he? Great to see. And he came out today and said something about if he makes mistakes and stuff like that, Moisey is patient with him and really it's like he's really turned it around and yeah, love it. And we love his eagerness and I love the fact that he's a blue as well. Tarkovsky and Brantwaite offer an aerial threat, and obviously O'Brien in there as well. Um, but can we get those set pieces in? Who's going to whip them? If we got Harrison on the left, that might be a different option over there. On the right, he just doesn't look like he looks like a shadow of the player that he was. But Lindstrom potentially whipping it in from the right, and Harrison on the left, and Mikalenko's starting to push up further and further and further. So hmm, get the ball in the box, and yeah, Beto handful. He's not the same type of player as Calvert-Lewin, obviously, is he? But he's a big lad, so you can still put the cat amongst the pigeons, if that's the phrase. As you know, I don't do predictions, but it would be great to get um, that 3 points down there. I mean, Moyes, even if Moyes continues his unbeaten spell, even a point down there would be decent. It'd be one more between us and the clubs below, but that would be a real opportunity to start leapfrogging some clubs and as I said before, looking up the table and those extra places and prize money would be massive. So yeah, so longer show today because there was a lot to talk about and yeah, it's been a good one. And I was proper down on Monday for the first part of it after that performance last week. But all smiles again. Uh, not getting carried away. At the end of the day, last night was still a draw, and we possibly could have won it. But it's just reflecting as a whole. the run that Moisey and the Blues are on. It's a massive turnaround, and that's what the smiles are for. I'm not going to celebrate like we've won the league just because we got a point against Liverpool. That ain't it. Um, but it just seems we've got a few things to look forward to, and so I'll be back on Monday. I don't know how I'm going to do this because I'm going to the test event, so I don't know whether to hold off and record on Monday night afterwards and try and get some content in there and stuff, and we'll see. Let's see what it's like. Yeah, see how this weekend goes as well. So hopefully I will be talking about another Everton win when I'm back with you. But before then, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for all the shares on that this week. Yeah, it's good. Just trying to put a lot more content out, like I said, and it's working out. The algorithms and stuff like that, all the technical stuff on Facebook is proven to be, and Instagram and TikTok and X is proven to be a nightmare at the moment. It's such a different game from when we started many moons ago. They try and hold you down with pricing and all that kind of stuff to get sponsored posts, but then your sponsors posts aren't guaranteed to reach your actual audience. So it is what it is. So thanks, I appreciate it. I had a nice message off a fellow who said that the intro brought him back. He used to listen on SoundCloud. We're not even on SoundCloud anymore, but the other podcast platforms we are. So if you don't want to look at my mug and just go and listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, feel free. I won't be offended. Anyway, catch you Monday, Blues. Come on, you Blues.